This video lesson will focus on obesity, one of the diet and lifestyle diseases covered in Stage 2 nutrition. Obesity is a concept all too familiar for most Australians, but for this topic we will focus on exactly what is obesity, how is it defined, the prevalence of obesity in our community, the risk factors that can lead to obesity, the best ways of preventing obesity, and for treating it when it occurs. So, what exactly is obesity? Obesity is defined as having a body mass index, or BMI, of 30 or more. BMI is equivalent to your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. As you can see by the chart at the bottom left of the screen, a BMI of 18.5 or less will classify you as underweight, while a BMI between 18.5 and 24.9 puts you right within the healthy weight range, which obviously should be our goal. Any BMI of 25 and above puts you in the overweight category, whereas a BMI over 30 classifies you as obese. On the right-hand side of the screen is a publication from Nutrition Australia encouraging all Australians to aim for a healthy weight. The chart shown will be explored on the next screen. This weight for height chart shows weight in kilograms increasing up the left-hand vertical axis from 30 to 150 kilograms. You should be able to locate your weight in between this range. On the bottom horizontal axis, increasing from left to right, is height in centimetres. So somewhere between 140 centimetres and 200 centimetres should locate most people's height. By searching first of all for your weight in kilograms on the left and scrolling over to your height in centimetres on the bottom, you should be able to work out what your BMI is. BMI increases up the right-hand vertical axis from 17 or below in orange up until the healthy weight range between 18.5 and 25 in green, and so on. This is a graphical way of working out your BMI without having to do the calculation. That said, calculating your BMI is a very simple process as long as you know your weight in kilograms and your height in meters. For example, if you weigh 75 kilograms and are 175 centimeters tall, or 1.75 meters tall, your BMI is simply your weight, 75, divided by 1.75 times 1.75, which comes out at 24.5. According to the classifications previously seen and shown in the table below, this falls within the normal or healthy weight range, which is the ultimate goal for all Australians. As it currently stands, almost 2 in 3 Australian adults are overweight or obese, according to the Australian Institute for Health and Wellbeing, a government organisation. 10% more adults are overweight or obese than in 1995, the last time that statistics were produced. Alarmingly, 1 in 4 Australian children are overweight or obese. It seems to occur more commonly in regional or remote areas of Australia, with 15% more Australians from these areas being classified as overweight or obese than those who live in major cities. Importantly, having a high BMI in the overweight or obese category is the second highest contributor to the burden of disease in our country. The specific risks of obesity include higher rates of death at earlier ages and illnesses including cardiovascular or heart disease, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, osteoarthritis, psychological problems, and reproductive or gynecological problems for women. This is a pictorial representation of some of those risks, just to help you to bring to mind exactly what they are. Additionally, this picture here shows that not only are there physiological issues associated with being obese or overweight, but issues such as low self-esteem, depression, limited mobility, social discrimination, fewer employment opportunities, and lower life expectancy are all associated with obesity. At its heart, obesity relates to energy intake, energy expenditure, and the balance between the two. The amount of food you need depends on your age, sex, body size, level of physical activity, and whether you are pregnant or breastfeeding. Energy comes from the three macronutrients in your diet: carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids. At the eatforhealth.gov.au website, you can calculate your own individual energy requirements depending on your gender and age. Energy expenditure depends on three things: your basal metabolic rate or basal metabolism, which is the energy used to maintain vital body processes; the thermic effect of food, which is the energy taken to digest and absorb nutrients from your diet; and your physical activity, which is any energy used in moving around. Physical activity is the main component that you have some control over. Typically, it contributes about 20% to daily energy expenditure. However, for a highly active person, this percentage would obviously be greater. If you need a refresher on energy calculations and BMR, you can see my video Energy Metabolism and BMR for more detailed information. Overall metabolism shows that if more energy is consumed than burned, the body stores excess energy and weight is gained. If energy in equals energy out, energy needs are in balance and we'll have weight stability. This means that the amount of kilojoules consumed from the diet is equal to the amount of energy expended through BMR, the thermic effect of food, and any physical activity undertaken. On the other side of the coin, weight loss will occur if more energy is burned than consumed, as the body will use its energy reserves by way of glycogen and adipose tissue to account for the extra energy required. The main dietary risk factor for obesity, therefore, is that when energy input exceeds energy output over a long period. Additionally, a diet high in processed, energy-dense foods, which contain high levels of fat and or sugar and are typically low in fibre, will also lead to weight gain over time. And consuming alcohol frequently and or in large amounts will also lead to weight gain due to the added kilojoules in the diet. There are several lifestyle risk factors that make one more likely to become obese over time. Specifically, a lack of exercise in relation to energy intake. Also, low levels of daily physical activity. This is becoming more common in our society as technology replaces more and more of the simple daily tasks that were undertaken in the past, such as washing dishes and clothes, and vacuuming. Other risk factors include smoking, high stress levels, genetics, which we'll talk a little more about later, age, as the risk of becoming obese increases with age, socioeconomic status. This is an interesting one. People that live in poorer communities or have a lower socioeconomic status are more likely to be obese than those from affluent communities. And additionally, obesity is more common in rural and remote areas of Australia rather than the major cities. With regards to genetic factors, a child has a 10% chance of becoming obese if both parents are of normal weight. This is a fairly low chance. The chance or the likelihood increases dramatically if one parent is obese. A child now has 50% chance of becoming obese. And if both parents are obese, a child is born with an 80% likelihood of becoming obese. I kind of like this little graphic to the right. Here, the patient reports to the doctor that the problem is that obesity runs in our family. The doctor's reply, no. The problem is that no one runs in your family. This gets to the heart of the issue of nature versus nurture. While a very few genes have been found to increase the genetic predisposition that someone has to becoming obese, it has been shown by many medical studies that an active lifestyle and a healthy diet is able to overcome any predisposition of these genes. So, while some people are more likely to become obese if inactive and if they consume an unhealthy diet, a healthy diet and an active lifestyle are able to overcome any predisposition. So what strategies are there for addressing obesity? The diet industry is huge, with many different diets being offered at different times over the course of history. The success or failure of any diet depends on how much energy intake is reduced compared to energy expenditure and how long the diet can actually be maintained for. In general, the more restrictive the diet, the higher the chance of failure. A preferred diet is one that includes a wide variety of foods, including plenty of fruit, vegetables, and whole grains, as shown in the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, where about 2/3 of total daily food intake should come from these 3 families of food. Additionally, weighing in every day is linked to successful weight loss. Another strategy is exercise, which increases the basal metabolic rate, causing the body to burn kilojoules at a higher rate for many hours following exercise even. A moderate increase in exercise does not necessarily lead to an increase in food intake in most cases. So, walking to the train station rather than driving to work is a moderate increase in exercise that you could do each day, which wouldn't necessarily mean that you needed to eat an extra meal, for example. Another benefit of exercise is that increased fitness may lead to positive self-image and therefore the motivation to lose even more weight. Another strategy is behaviour therapy, where a therapist will analyse the social and psychological factors which promote eating for you. The idea of behaviour therapy is that it will develop habits which will change eating behaviour, and the aim is to learn to avoid the cues that trigger the desire to eat when you're not actually hungry or in need of energy. Another common strategy is to turn to weight loss or weight control groups for support and information and good practices, and this can work well for some people while they are attending the group. Examples of such groups include Weight Watchers and the Jenny Craig program. A more extreme strategy involves medical methods, often referred to as gastric banding. Gastric or laparoscopic banding reduces the actual capacity of the stomach to around about 1 cup. And you may remember that the usual capacity of the stomach is somewhere between 1 and 1.5 litres. So this is a drastic reduction, which leads to patients feeling full more quickly and only being able to eat small portions of food at a time. Another method involves the stomach bypass, in which a section of the stomach is actually closed off and bypassed. So food needs to pass directly from the new, smaller stomach to the small intestine, skipping the duodenum. Unfortunately, this can actually lead to vitamin deficiencies as it's reducing the amount of time that food is spending in the area of the intestines where vitamins are absorbed. Both of these methods are expensive and dangerous and may not lead to behavioural change over time, which can lead to medical complications if a patient does continue to eat large amounts of food despite the operation.